Hey guys, welcome back to Content is Profit. Today, I am bringing you the top 6 steps to grow your audience, the ultimate podcaster visibility. And to be completely honest, this also works with any type of content, right? So again, I want to give a huge shout out to Vinnie Potestivo. His episode 487. We were on a mastermind with him and he came in and he shared this list. This is a guy that has worked with incredible people like Beyonce, and he's part of incredible projects. The part of his past, he worked for MTV as well. And anyways, he is a great friend. He came to the show, share his secrets. Go back to episode 487 to hear the full story. And I was like, Vinny, I am going to grab all that stuff of that list that you sent out and I'm going to share it with the people on Content is Profit. And he was like, dude, absolutely. So find him on LinkedIn, Vinnie Potestivo, and let him know if these are useful, that send him a big thank you. So this is super cool. We're going to go we're going to do the first 6 that I think like are very applicable to everybody that has been coming to the studio, that has been tuning into Content is Profit, and the people in our community. We're going to give some examples. And then I have 2 last ones that are bonus ones that when I first heard them, I was like, there's no way this is helping you increase your audience. And then he showed some examples and I thought they were pretty interesting. So they're very unique and I can't wait for you to kind of check them out. So let's get started. Step number 1 is syndicate. Syndicate your content, right? Get your podcast or get your platform or get your content everywhere. Distribute your podcast across multiple platforms and make it easy to find. So if you've been creating content for a while, this might seem like a very basic thing to do, but let me tell you how many conversations I've had where it's like, okay, now that, we've recorded, where do you think, where do you want to distribute this podcast or where do you want to distribute this content? And a lot of people don't know that there are more platforms than just Apple, Spotify, or even YouTube. On podcasting alone, audio only, there's probably hundreds of them. And there are services that can help you syndicate that podcast so you can be present in all of them. So a good example could be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, now YouTube Podcasts, right? And there's platforms like Buzzsprout, which are some of our partners that are incredible, where they can syndicate it, to all these platforms. You just upload once and it saves you a ton of time. So make sure that you're doing your proper research. Where do you want your content to show up? Same thing with video content, right? Not just YouTube, but maybe Vimeo is a platform that you want to be at, right? Maybe Rumble is a platform that you want to be at. Like, where are we publishing those? And we can also start thinking a little bit outside of the box, where we can start thinking, where are other platforms that might be closed circuits that my content might be useful for them. So I'll give you an example. Some doctors' offices or dental offices have these closed circuits that you can put your content and they can play in repeat and be in front of like the people that are waiting in there, for example. So we know some people that have gone into airplanes and they have a circuit for podcasts and their shows on the airplanes, and it racks up the numbers. It helps you be present in front of other people, and that might be a cool opportunity for you. So let's start thinking also a little bit outside of the norm or outside of the regular social media content, and be like, what are some networks that maybe my content and my message aligns, so we can go there and be present in front of their audience. So super cool. Now, number 2, integrate. Align with top brands. Collaborate with brands in your niche to increase credibility and expand reach. So this is a very big one that we didn't really experience until we partnered with our amazing sponsors, HubSpot and their network. And the first event that we ended up going after the partnership was public, it was insane. I think, we've never received so much attention. And it was a little bit embarrassing, to be completely honest, but it was like, at the same time, super cool, because it almost put our podcast in a different level. It put our show at a level where it started to differentiate ourselves from what we were doing before. And what we're doing before was, live streams on social media and things like that, where it's totally okay when you first start. But I think like this gave us a massive competitive advantage when it came to bringing incredible guests, top level guests, or have conversations with people that we really wanted to connect with, right? It puts you a little bit of an elite type stuff. So like, what are some brands that you can align with that you can collaborate with and be like, hey, we've been collaborating with so-and-so, and that so-and-so are big players in your industry. And when you have conversations in person at events, even in your podcast, people kind of align with that and be like, oh, this is super cool. So we have a very fun story with the guy that sold us the studio, Gary. Super cool guy. He came from like the radio industry. And when he moved his studio from the old building where we met to this building, he's like, hey guys, I'm launching a new show to kind of promote the studio and so on. And I would love for you guys to be my first guest. So we obviously show up in the room, and he has like the new art in there. And as soon as he starts the intro, he goes like, hey, and this episode is brought to you by AT&T. And I was like, man, like in my head, like, kind of that stayed on. And we continue the conversation. And at the end of the interview, when we stopped recording, I'm like, hey, Gary, dude, like, how were you able to find AT&T as a sponsor? And he starts laughing so hard, and he's like, let me tell you a little secret that comes from my industry and maybe some others I've been using, right? So it turns out that he had a friend in AT&T, and he gave him a call and be like, hey friend, do you mind, I'm launching this show, and like, do you mind if you guys sponsor the show? And before the guy could answer, he's like, but let me tell you, here's the kicker. I don't want you to pay me anything, because, that might take a while. That might go for some approval process, all these things. I just want you the permission to use your name for X amount of episodes and so on. And the guy was like, yeah, absolutely. He was high up. He was able to make the decision. And he's like, go ahead. And obviously it's a massive win for that brand. And what it did, Gary explained later, was that when he was pitching to bring like bigger guests and the people that he really wanted to connect with, like that was like front and center, as in like, hey, we partnered with AT&T, and that just brought a level of credibility that otherwise he was not able to reach. And that was his play. And then he got other sponsors to be on board and so on. And we've heard so many stories on newsletter where this is sponsored by so and so, and there's like a credibility name or a big name in the industry, and then other sponsors, because fear of missing out, they decide that they want to be part of that. So full disclosure, we launched the football show last week, and we're probably going to start applying that play, because we want to bring people and we want to bring brands to be a part of it. And so if you're interested, just let us know. So I think that's a cool play. Have you tried something like that? Have you done something where you've used other brands, or you've partnered with different people to increase the credibility of your show and have access to new audiences? Have you done it? I would love to know. Put it in the comments below. Send us a message on Spotify or YouTube. Happy to grab that feedback. All right. Step number 3, collaborate. Grow with other creators, do guest swaps, co-hosted episodes, and podcast partnerships to build your audience. So collaboration should be a must do for any type of content. It doesn't matter if you have a podcast, doesn't matter if you have a YouTube channel, doesn't matter if you have an Instagram account. Collaboration should be a gold standard when it comes to publishing. And, for the longest time, we thought that maybe because we were creating the podcast, we were putting it out to the world, that was it. We thought that was the promotion that the podcast needed. Turns out it does need a ton of production. Like your podcast or your content and your videos is also a product that needs attention, and we need to go get attention and put it in front of them. So obviously there's different ways. Step number 1 is, if you don't have money for advertising, which we'll go in just a second, there's different ways that you can do it organically, like the ones that we just said. So do get swaps. For example, if you find a show that their audience aligns with your audience, you can have that person come into your platform and you guys can talk about what you talk in your show, and then, or your content, same thing. Like we've seen it on Instagram, for example, and I'll give you some examples. And then you go to their platform and so on. Because my main platform is podcasting, I do that on podcasts. And huge shout out to Podmatch, because that's a software that we use. to connect with people. So if you are interested, the link is right below. Now, we have a friend that he's an actor, right? He's in Miami and he doesn't have a podcast. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. His presence is on Instagram. So his collaborations are going to happen on Instagram, on that platform. So there's different ways to collaborate. You could do story swaps. You can do Instagram takeovers where the other person grabs, your account and they kind of share their day and you share your day in their platform. You can do interviews together inside of Instagram. So use the platform that you are the most fan of or that you enjoy the most to start this collaboration with people in your industry. So for example, whenever we decide to move into the YouTube side of the football show, apart from podcasting, the collaborations are going to be doing different challenges that we enjoy doing on the field, for example, with other YouTubers, with other people. And then that way we can do that. Some examples of this at a massive scale, there's a group in England called the Sidemen, for example. They do a lot of like prank videos. They started a while back. One of their members, there's 5 of them, is partnered with Logan Paul in Prime. And they put on an influencer soccer game in London. There's about 90,000 people go to the stadium, and every single player is an influencer, and they're raising money for a cause that they feel very passionate about. So that's an incredible way to collaborate. And what happens is like each one of these creators, they all have a massive production team behind them, that help them grow their channels. They're posting about this. So the event has this massive exposure because of that collaboration. So we can bring that, if you're not that big, it's totally okay. You can bring that in and be like, okay, how can we start collaborating between us podcasters, between us YouTubers, between us social media content creators, and create some very cool concepts, So if you want, any more information on that, feel free to reach out to us. Go to businesscreator.club, where April 21st, we're going to start with the surprise challenge. It's going to be fun. But in the meantime, we're going to be jumping on Q&A. So hop on there. Is $1 lifetime access until the challenge starts on April 21st. So get a hold of that deal. Let's go. All right. Number 4, educate, teach, and lead. Position yourself as a thought leader with newsletters, speaking, and especially LinkedIn content if you're in the business side, right? So here's a fun one that we discover every time we do or we produce or we start having a conversation around an interview show. And the light bulb moment for us on this side came in very quickly in our, I guess, podcasting career, like episode 10 type deal, right? So a lot of people tackle publishing, or let's say, let's go into the content of podcasting and then we move it into different platforms. But they start interviewing people because it's probably the easier or least friction when it comes to the creation aspect, right? We talk about the 6 levers in previous episodes, creation, or like the message, right? It's number 1. It's like, we don't have to come up with like a crazy, unique hook, or we don't have to come up with a script. Is because we jump on a conversation and then we have these questions with this other person, and then that kind of fits the content side. But here's the big mistake that I feel a lot of people might be doing, and it's approaching that conversation under, I am going to be a reporter, and because I might consider that person at a higher influence level than me, then we fall in the trap of just asking questions. And what happens to that is like whenever the conversation goes out, we publish that, the audience that's tuning in is going to see your guest as the authority. They're going to believe them, and then they're not going to see you as the authority. They're just going to see you as a great reporter, maybe a great podcaster. But if you are trying to sell something or trying to, increase your own authority level, remember, authority, relevancy, and trust, art. That's what we build with consistency and all the stuff. Is if you want to build your authority, then we have to put in our point of view on the content itself. So when that happened, to us very quickly, because we decided around episode 10 of Content is Profit that we're not going to just ask questions, that we needed to be a little bit bold and have conversations around the topic with that person. So we have authority. We know what we talk about. They know what they talk about. They, also are experts. And now we're having conversation as equals about that topic. What that does is that now the audience can choose or be like, hey, I like guest's opinion, or I like
the Beast Bros opinion and I resonate with them and I put them both in the bucket of authority, that you're up there as an expert, right? So if you are doing interviews, if you are having conversations with other people in your collaborations, please keep that in mind, because that's probably, mistake number one that we've seen across every single platform. So your podcast has a topic. Don't interview somebody about the topic. Have a conversation about that. And the difference is that you are also putting your point of view on that. And we've disagreed with some people that come to the show. They say an opinion, and instead of like, oh, that's awesome, that's your opinion, I'm like, well, that might be awesome, but I believe so and so and so, and I think you might be incorrect because so and so and so. And now we're putting our opinion out there, and it creates a really awesome dynamic, to be completely honest, with your guests and also with your audience. Now, we talk about here on the newsletters, speaking engagements, and LinkedIn content when it comes to business. I think this applies to everything in your industry, depending on like what topic you're in. But obviously, newsletters is like, okay, if your newsletter has access to my audience, same thing. It's like, where is my audience? And newsletter is a vehicle, podcasting is a vehicle, social media is a vehicle. But if newsletters are like, what are the newsletters that I can come on and collaborate? What's their process, right? Do they have a guest article that I can write? Or do we do a podcast interview and they promote it on the newsletter? How do we do this, right? And this is the same process of collaborating. Podmatch, like I said, is a great platform for you to start connecting with, like-minded people and talking about these things. And then speaking, this has been the biggest hack for us organically. Events, every time we go to an event, we used to go and attend just to go learn, and then we learn, and then we're like, okay, we keep coming to this conference, they keep talking about the same topics, we're implementing, it's working. Now maybe we come in with the intention of networking, and then later we decided to go to places where we can actually speak and provide value because we know what we talk about. So just recently we were in a gutter lunch, it's called gutter lunch conference, where they were selling kind of like a business in a box, and we were talking about publishing, and we were helping them move the needle forward about publishing. And after that, obviously, because you're one of the speakers, people approach you, they have questions, and you can connect with them. And now you're in that bucket of authority, relevancy, and trust, which is super, super important, right? Step number 5, propagate. Did I say it right? Let me know in the comments. My accent is good looking. But basically, get media attention, right? Be featuring news outlets, blogs, and industry publications to boost credibility, right? This is something maybe that we haven't maybe pulled that lever too much of, but there is a person that also came to our show that comes to mind. Her name is Kimmy Seltzer. She is on every single morning show in America, right? And what she says is awesome. She helps women get out there and start dating again and kind of reignite the fire, or the fling fire. And she's awesome. She's doing retreats all over the country. And this is one of her best places. It's like basically she's leveraging not just blogs, but like news outlets. And she has a pitch and she goes, and her system works and is incredible. And that way she can access other audiences into her because she is the authority in the space, and then she can transition them into her podcast, her content, her events, her offers, and so on. So same thing, like what are some blogs that are relevant in my industry? How can I collaborate? How can I, maybe write a guest article, maybe do a guest video, maybe do a guest education? What are some other influencers, what are some other business people that might have courses that I can collaborate with them and be present? Here's a good example. When one of those offers that Russell Branson from ClickFunnels launched, Steve Larsen, who was his main funnel builder, we were at the time in his mastermind, and he was invited to be one of the coaches inside of the ClickFunnels program. And that gave him access to thousands and thousands of people that were going through that program, be like, man, I really sync up with Steve. And then the people got familiar with him, ask him, hey, what are you offering? And then Steve had an offer ready for them to go help him out. So that's another example. It's like, where can we put ourselves and provide a ton of value where we can do this? Not just blogs, but industry publications. Are there magazines? Like, are you somebody that helps doctors? Like, where are they publishing their content? How can we make sure that we put our content in front of them? Hey, I noticed that your number one problem is XYZ. by the way, we just released an episode about XYZ. Can we put it on your newsletter? Can we put it on your magazine? Can we write something about it and put it on your media publication? And Vinny's tip over here, which is awesome, is he comes from like the Hollywood, the TV side of thing, broadcasting side. And he has a very cool tip where you can actually get verified in IMDb, kind of like where the actors are. You can do that also as a podcaster, and it's super cool. So that's on our list to go do, and be right up there with, you know, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, and all the Avengers actors. All right. And step number six is reiterate, you know, refine and expand your reach, analyze what's working, repurpose your top content, and keep evolving your podcast platform, show, video, clips, you know, whatever that is, right? My little asterisk in here is going to be like ads. If you decide to run paid media to this, by the way, you can run paid media if it's working on any of the other steps that we listed above. If you do paid media in any of them, it's just going to speed up the process, right? It's going to take you from point A to point B way faster. A good example is the test that we've been doing with Content is Profit. We've been putting literally just $20 behind each episode of the pod. And we've been seeing massive growth on YouTube. And we have been identifying, hey, people, I might not be passing past the hook. We need to get better at delivering this content, for example, right? So that's feedback that otherwise would have taken years to get. So that's just an example. But same thing. Go back to your analytics, which, by the way, pause, parenthesis. So if you're a brand new podcaster, brand new, and you're not putting money into this, and you're like putting in the reps, this might not be your last podcast. You might have two others, or, you know, two more YouTube channels after that. I will highly recommend put your head down, get better as a creator at developing your message for like 6 months. And as soon as you remove the friction, it can be 6 months, 3 months, a month, it doesn't matter. Like for us, we didn't look at data for 6 months because we knew that if we would see it, we will just probably stop at the time, at the mental stage that we were at that moment. And that's how we discovered that the relationships that we formed through the platform, like our guests, for example, it might be a bigger opportunity for what we were selling at the time, which was a service, right? We were not selling any programs or nothing. So that was the fastest path to cash for us for a business. And that's why we decided to do that, right? So assume, you know, your content is going to be a hypothesis. Hey, I'm going to publish about this thing and something's going to happen. And then either that happens, a good result, but, you know, or it doesn't happen, bad results. Perfect. If it doesn't happen, how can we improve? So make sure that you look at your data, your analytics, right? If you're publishing on YouTube, like what's your click-through rate? Are people, if they don't click, they're not going to watch. So the first step that we need to do is make them click. So how do we do that? We improve our thumbnails. We improve our headlines, our titles. The premise of our videos, for example, this is something that we're actively working on, right? It's a whole balance between what we want to create and what actually works on the platform. For podcasting, the same thing. Are people listening to 30% of the episode, or are people listening to 70 or 80% of the episode? What's a good outlier? What happened here? Was it a short episode? Was it a long episode? What are we doing? So as we continue to read and find this data, by the way, if you have any specific questions, again, businesscreator.club. We have open Q&A sessions in there every single week. Come join us. Happy to help you out in there with very specifics. But Apple for podcasters or Spotify for podcasters are very good platforms to get engaged. Normally, you'll have most of your traffic for your audio podcast in those two. And you can see, hey, my show was promoted, or the impressions are, let's say 100,000. And then out of those 100,000, 5,000 clicked on our titles. And then from those 5,000, 30% listened to the episode. That's really interesting data for you to know. So be like, okay, how can we improve the funnel, right? How can we improve the title so people can see it more? How can we improve the podcast cover? And so on, so on. So we can get very granular, but you get the idea. And the last thing I just mentioned, you can speed everything up with your ads. Now, as we're wrapping up this episode, which has been so good, thank you guys if you're still here. A couple tools that we've mentioned. Well, first, go support Vinnie on social media. Vinnie Potestivo, right? Awesome guy. This content is so good. He's legit on LinkedIn, his main platform. Go connect with him there. Second, don't forget, businesscreator.club. Come join. We have open Q&As on April 21st. We are starting, finally. My brother had a daughter that got in the way. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. We love you, Fonzie, and we miss you. But April 21st, that's when we're starting. We're starting with a fun challenge. It's going to be about 17 days. It's going to be so good. Very low friction for you, and it's going to help you move the needle forward in content. That's what we want to do. Can't wait to go hang out with you. So, Business Creator Club. You can also, if you're on Facebook, go to the Content is Profit Facebook group. We have right now, it's like 50 people that we haven't let in because we're about to announce the challenge. And as soon as we do that, we're going to do that. So I can't wait to kind of revive that after the 45 challenge that we did. I think those are my plugs. And obviously, if you want to collaborate on podcasting, podmatch.com, and it's an incredible resource. Like I said, links right below. Now, the bonus ones, as I told you, we went through, what is it? We went through 6, and now the last 2 are awesome. Full disclosure, we don't do this. We're probably going to do it. It's going to be on the list. So number 1, aggregate. Verify as a Google publisher. Boost credibility and discoverability by verifying your podcast on Google News. I think that's a huge, I don't know why we haven't done it. Vinny, where were you all my life? So this is actually really good because obviously Google, same thing, establish your credibility, authority, all, and so on. So, we get most of our traffic in our studio because of Google. So we have to go do that. Didn't know that we could do that for the show. So if you've done it, and you want to share the results, dude, send me a message, or lady, send me a message. Happy to share that with the community as well. And the last one, this is probably the most fun that I personally like. It's called Illustrates, right? Create visuals, people share. And here's the kicker. Turn your podcast into GIFs or GIFs, however you say it, stickers, and branded content to increase visibility. So it's hilarious. Vinny actually showed us some examples where he was like the first pick for like business podcasts when it comes to like sticker. He's like him dancing or like signaling like, hey, publish or something like that. So you and your industry, whatever like you're creating, I think that's super cool. There's some tools out there that are very simple to use. I think if you have an iPhone, you can create stickers from the iPhone. I actually create one for my kid that's like signaling the phone like this. And it has like very cool picture, very cool face. But then also Giphy, GIPHY is a great place where you can create your own GIFs. And I use GIFs all the time. Love them. So I think those are very creative ways for us to grow our audience. And yeah, that's the whole list. So quick recap. Number 1, syndicate, get your podcast everywhere. Number 2, integrate, align with top brands. Number 3, collaborate, grow with others. Number 4, educate, teach and lead, right? Number 5, propagate, get the media attention. Number 6, reiterate, refine and expand your reach. And the 2 bonuses, 1, aggregate and illustrate. Again, these, I will probably put these in your to-do list to start implementing right away. Not all at the same time. Pick one, the one that you feel closer to, and continue to improve little by little every single day. But I think these are great ways that you can improve that. And like I said, if you want to speed up the process, run some ads on YouTube, see what happens. Run some ads with Mopod for audio. There's many things out there that can help you out. Anyways, with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. It's been a pleasure. Come join us at Business Creator Club. Can't wait to meet you. And see you on April 21st when we start the challenge. Let's go.